So I'd like to thank everyone that was there. Thank you, Paul, for a great introduction, and I appreciate that. But today we're going to be talking about some things that's very important to me and to a lot of people, which is just building your financial future and building this future for yourself, for your family, and also helping people really become stronger financially, right? Which is my overall goal and my overall want to achieve. And there's a couple of people in the waiting room. I don't know if they're awesome. So a little quick thing about me, my background really quickly. I have a TV background. I used to work in television for CBS, UPN, CW TV stations, and did pretty well there. But I realized pretty early that wherever success you have, if you're not keeping your money, you're not doing anything, right? So I wanted to learn a little bit more about that, and that happened back in 2006 timeframe, and we kind of started working on that. My wife and I, and we're building a tax company that built into a financial services firm and have helped people across the country. But one of the things I love doing is educating people about that and giving them means that they could learn about financial fundamentals, and so that they don't have to live above their means, that they don't have insignificant insurance, that they're not in debt, and they don't have poor savings habits. So my whole career has been building around those things. And so today I was going to be focusing about a tax-free retirement or building tax-free savings, which I believe is super important for all of us to know and to be able to do, because if you don't do that, you're going to be in a big hurt. Because right now, I mean, even though a lot of things are happening in the world, I have people been hearing about the stuff that's going on in the war and everything of that, and of course that's going to affect what all the financial institutions, not only locally but across the world. So when that happens, that means that's going to be impacting our lives, right? And right now, even statistically, they're saying that 75% of the population don't have $5,000. I just want to make sure we kind of catch that. Don't have $5,000 in the bank for savings, for retirement. That is a problem, because if your goal is to retire in the next 15 years, you don't have that, that's going to be a challenge. And that means that if you look at the statistics there, 45% of people depend upon relatives, or another 30% on charity. Another group of people are working. And I believe those numbers probably that's continuing working is probably even going up. I don't know about you. Actually, today I had to meet some people because of taxes and different things. And I was around Home Depot, and I don't know if you have ever been to Home Depot, but it's jokingly, just as jokingly, but the workers there is like a retirement community, because if everyone is like over 60, right? I mean, which is a challenge, right? I mean, if they're that's a challenge, because that means if they still have to work, and this isn't a high-end earning job, that means also younger people are not having those positions also, and that's a trickle effect, right, on this whole thing. Which means if you're looking at this and only 2% of people are self-sustaining, what are we going to do to change that? I want to increase the numbers of the self-sustaining areas, because I don't want people to have this nightmare where you're in retirement age, a retirement desire, and you're doing these things where you're getting sick and you're selling your home and you're moving back in with relatives. I mean, who wants to do that, where you're moving back into the family unit because you're quote unquote downsizing, but that's because you can't afford the home anymore. You're going back on jobs and working. And then if you do pass away, you're leaving a legacy of debt. And so many people are seeing that nightmare today, but our goal is to help people get to the dream where they be able to do what they want to do, when they want to do it, as long as they want to do it, wherever they want to do, and do things like travel and have freedom to give back or to impact their communities, to touch the people that they need to, be it family or even desired areas. I have known people, because they become or have gotten financially free, was able to do so much because they're not not held to just trying to make a dollar, right? So on that part, we have to do some things to make sure that we're in the right position. And I believe no matter where you at, you can start making some changes to help you get to the right position, right? And that's the big thing. You have to make the right things to get to the right position. So what is those things? So first thing is talking about retirement. Do you know your number? One of the things that I realized really early when I start learning about this is that we never come out of school if you went to school, like let's say, or you come out of high school saying, hey, I need to have this amount of money for retirement if I want to have a successful retirement. We never have a goal to hit. So when people don't have a goal, guess what? They don't ever reach for anything. And therefore that they don't know if they're on the right track or not. So one of the things is this is that I learned very early talking about a financial independence number or your FIN number, which means like how much money would you like to live off per year at your retirement? Let's just say you want to live off of $100,000 a year and you felt, hey, at least 25 years I wanted to do that. That means that you need 2.5 million somewhere so that you could take out $100,000 every year and live comfortably, right? That's the challenge, right? If that's what your goal is, or whatever your goal is that you felt a comfortable number is, the thing is that do you know what you need to save? Do you know what you need to build up for that? If you don't, then we need to talk. We need to talk about your financial independence number, show you a goal to hit, because once you have that goal, I know that's a lot. It's a lot more focus to reaching that goal, right? So let's talk about some ways to build yourself up and getting to that goal. One of those things is compounding interest. This is called the rule of 72. If you haven't heard the rule of 72, Albert Einstein called this particular rule the eighth wonder of the world. Actually, I have some good friends. Well, on here, Chuck, I actually know Chuck a very long time. And we used to tell people about this rule all the time. This rule is so important because if you don't understand this rule, you will be on the wrong side of the rule, being that means the rule is working against you instead of the rule working for you, right? And Albert Einstein said compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And right, I'll be honest with you, I really don't know the other seven. But I know this one. Why? Because it affects my money, right? And it actually impacts things every single day. And he says that whoever understands it earns it, but whoever doesn't understand it, you know what, they end up paying it. And how the rule works, you take your interest rate and you take it by like 72, you divide it by your interest rate, and that will give you the number of years for your money to double. Now, somebody might ask me, why 72? I don't know. Albert Einstein way smarter than me. I don't have no idea, but it obviously works. And our whole banking system, our whole financial system is kind of based around a lot of this rule. Okay, so if we're looking at that and we check some things out, and let's just say I'm going to put up these two slides right here. And let's just say, for example, you was earning 4%. And you take 72 divided that by 4, that means every 18 years your money will double. So in this example, if you was earning if you had $10,000, you put it in someplace earning 4%, by the time you're 65, you will have $40,000. And again, that's the interest being built off the $10,000. And that means every 18 years, it's going to just double on its own. But if you look at it, 65 is not enough. At 65, if you wanted to retire, definitely $40,000 is not enough, right? To a long-term retirement. Now, on the other side is 12%. And again, this is just, again, a example of a percentage. And if you had 72 divided by 12, that means every 6 years it was going to double. And again, that $10,000 starting with, and you're just looking through this, at age 41, now you have the same amount of money as this other person had at 65. And then by the time you get to 65, you will have $640,000. And that is a $600,000 difference. Now, what the thing I'm taking a look at this is just being in safe money places. Where would you rather have your money at? Right? Where would you rather have your money at? Well, here's the thing, right? Everybody probably want to have their money at the 12% or getting closer to that. But the thing is, are you in position right now doing that? And most people are not. So what we need to do is show you how to get to better rates of return. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So if you want to build a successful retirement. But one of the other things that we're talking about is also you have to reduce your taxes, because it's not about only how much money you grow, but it's also how much money you can use. So for example, there's 3 types of taxes. There are things that's always taxed. So that means that every single year, whatever you earn will be taxed. That makes sense. So that's your savings accounts, your CDs, anything of stocks, or mutual funds, even real estate. That means anything you earn in this area, you'll be taxed that year. You can't get away from it. Or if you try to evade that, IRS will come after you. Okay, just letting you know. That's the evasion causes some charges. Okay, so we don't want to do that. But that's in that area of tax now. In the tax later area means that you're putting money away that's not taxable at this moment. But if you go to try to take that money out, whenever you take that money out, you would be taxed at that time. So that's usually your retirement plans. So that's your 401ks, 403bs, your IRAs, your pensions, even TSPs for those people that's in the military or government workers. Social Security also is in this area too. So that means, again, the money wasn't taxed when you first had it, but when you go use the money, it will be taxed. And if you try to get to the money prior to a certain age, 59 and a half, you also will have to pay penalties. Okay, so if you ever done that, several people have. The note that every year I have meet people that done that, and they're amazed that almost 40% of their money is gone. But that's because of taxes or penalties, right? And then the lastly is tax-free areas, which is things like your Roth IRAs, municipal bonds, 529 plans. And this, but where the area I'm going to focus on is called 7702 plans or insurance built around plans. And those areas is so important because that's an area where you could put money in and it will grow tax-free. And also when you access it is tax-free for whatever uses, and you don't have a time limit to go to get that money, which means you could get that money right away. And that's very important because of some things we're going to talk about and how to supercharge your retirement in the future, right? We're going to have a gentleman, Jeff, going to be talking about that in a little bit too. All right, so those are the three tax areas. Now, here's the thing. Where do you think wealthy people like to put their money, right? Would you agree? You're probably in tax-free areas. They don't want to pay taxes. That's one thing we all know. Well, they don't want to pay taxes. I don't think anybody necessarily want to pay more than fair share of taxes, but that's definitely an area. That's the thing is that most of these areas have a lot of stipulations, but the one that have the most freedom is that 7702 plan. But if you have your money only in tax later areas building for retirement, and just kind of like we talked about this a little bit before, and let's say you had $100,000 and you're earning, that you built, $1 million, excuse me, $100,000, $1 million that you built, and, you get taxed at just 33%. That means you have only a balance of $660,000. That's one of the things Time Magazine was talking about when they say, was it time to retire 401ks? Actually, a lot of people are looking at their 401k and just saying it's not okay. Right. And they made a lot of changes because of that, where now a couple of administrations ago start having availability of Roth 401ks and different things because they realized the problem with you have to have non-taxable money accessible to you at retirement, or not you really won't have a powerful retirement. One more thing, you also have to reduce your risk, which again, going back to right now, and with the state of the world right now, right, with all the things happening, is impacting our markets. And if we look at this, the market risk of loss is huge, right? So let's just say your portfolio went down 50%, and let's say you had $100 in there, and just the power of that market loss. If you had $100 in there and you lost 50%, what would you need to gain to get back to where you first started? A lot of people would think, well, I need to gain 50%, but no, you will only get back to $75, right? That's only $25 more on your 50. So you actually need 100% gain just to get back to where you started, right? And that's the challenge with people when they're doing passive market areas and they don't understand the market and they're at the mercy of that. It's a very hard thing to build your money, especially if you have losses, especially at the wrong time, right? Especially at the wrong time. It might be, as they say, if you're younger, you have some time to make it back up. But really, I'm just going to be honest. I never like to lose money. Any money that's lost is gone. I just want to be, you never make that money back up. You get new money. Does that make sense? You don't ever make back. If I have two $5 bills and the wind blew away $5 and I went in my pocket and pulled another $5 out, I did not make back up my money. That makes sense. I'm supposed to have $15, right? I lost $5. And then when you lose your money in the market, you lost your money. There's nothing you could do to get that money back. You're just getting new money. So one of the things that I really believe in and love with this code is there's an IRS code called 7702. actually A, that allows life insurance to be a central position where you could have your money grow tax-free and access the money tax-free. And it's been around since the 80s. But this is a tool that's been used actually for decades, for decades by people like the Walt Disneys, actually people like Ray Kroc, actually Stanford University. Is actually 80% of CEOs have this use this code to help build their wealth. Why is that? Because it's an amazing code that actually the number one code of wealth building and tax prevention, some people would say. Now, these are just some books that's out there that talks about that and talks about the code and talks about how you could build that. And actually, if you just go on Amazon and you just put in tax-free retirement, or you put in something like insurance investments or something like that, you're going to see a bunch of books that's the power of this and talking about it. But these are 3 very powerful books about it. But and it goes back to this concept where I'm going to focus on infinite banking concept. And that's where we're going to put you as your own bank. I want you to think about this. What if you was the bank, right? What if you was the bank? Now we know the bank isn't where you just build wealth, but it's the pass through. But it's also, if you became the bank, what would you change, or how would you work for your benefit? I'm going to show that to you. So first thing, we have life insurance, which is great because it takes care of you if you die too soon, you pass away, or it's there if you get sick. Actually, you have things for long-term care and different things like that. It's there for all your life. It's a permanent type policy, and it's going to have a long-term care rider and different things there for you. And let's just say this is so many people have insignificant insurance protection that just that by itself is so important. But we're not super focused on the insurance. In this case, the insurance helps you put an umbrella over your savings. And that savings give you guaranteed growth and dividend growth at the same time. Plus give you a floor and a ceiling. Actually, a ceiling is not true. There's really no ceiling. Really isn't a ceiling. It's really, but the floor is guaranteed at 2 to 4%, but you could go all the way up as the dividends go on top of that. We have seen things as much as 10% on top of the guaranteed growth, right? But there's really actually not a literal ceiling on the growth part. So let me kind of just give you this example of this versus your 401k. And I also threw in another financial instrument that I have shown a lot of people with, which is the IUL. Which is also an insurance policy that some people have heard of. And both of these are powerful, but I just want to kind of show you, and the index, which is like the S&P 500, for example, that's the major index that a lot of people look at. And just show you, for example, if the index grew 10%, everything going to grow 10%, right? If the index went up to 20%, and your 401k is going to match that, that's because it's a maximum. It don't have a maximum to grow as much as the index will grow. The IUL will have a ceiling of 15%. Now, I only put 10% at the IBC part, just for example, because it's not really a ceiling. But let's just say it was there, and I'm just going to put a 10% ceiling. But let's just say on the negative side, what happens? Let's say it went negative 20%. Your 401k will go down negative 20%. Your IUL will give you a guarantee like 1%. But your IBC program, I have never seen, I went through a couple of different companies now, anything really less between guaranteed growth and dividends than less than 5%, no matter what, they're going to give you 5%. Now, I'm going to come back and tell you why that's super, super, super powerful, but also it doesn't matter how much money you lose. So let's just say, for example, during the market crash or the crash of the oil embargoes in the 70s, or the this is the Great Depression, the oil embargo, even the big stuff in 2008 with the housing market crash, the IBC products all gave a minimum of at least 5% out to their constituents, or their members, I should say. So that means that if you was just in that same position, your insurance products, no matter either one, will pay out more money to you than your baseline products. Now, that's very, very important. But I want you to think about why, because what do you do with your money once you put it in the bank? You actually want to reinvest it. You want to take that money and leverage it. That's really what we want to do. But I'm going to have Jeff. Jeff, are you there, by the way?
I'm here.
Okay, I want you to tell these guys, take a moment, explain about how to supercharge their retirement. Jeff is one of our people who are contributing agents to help people with this stuff. I'm very proud of him. He's in Texas. But Jeff, I'm going to pull this up and you could go ahead and just let me know when to move to the next slide. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I'm just going to talk about supercharging your retirement. One thing with your expenses, obviously your expenses, they're they're a debt to you, right? And so we want to try to eliminate that debt for you like as soon as we can. Okay, so everyone, we all have to pay like mortgage, loans, any other like household expenses. You can use this retirement to help like pay for your expenses. Next slide. And this is what everybody's like cash flow looks like. So we all get our money, right? And we put that into our bank. And then when we want to pay for these expenses, what happens? I mean, that money it just goes away, we're just throwing it away. We never see that money again. But I mean, don't you think it'd be cool if you did use that money and you got to see some kind of growth out of it? Next slide. So I want to show you can take like your expenses and you can turn that like into an asset. So your money goes into your own personal bank policy. And, through that, you've got living benefits, life insurance, you increase the estate value. Okay, it's tax free. Okay, this is just a growing asset. And keep going, Sean. So what we recommend is you take a loan out of your retirement plan. Okay, so that allows your personal bank policy to keep growing in interest. It's just untouched. It's just safely growing. So as you're pulling loans out, you're going to use that loan money that goes straight into your bank account, and then you're going to pay all your expenses. And, no worries. So through that like cycle, that loop that we're doing there, you're allowed to just kind of take care of all your expenses, and that just kind of helps like eliminate your debt. You're paying off all these things, right? And guess what? Your money is just growing. It's just sitting in there and growing, collecting interest. So doesn't it make sense to pay cost of insurance so your money can always earn additional interest? I mean, I think it does. Absolutely. That's amazing. It's a really cool thing. And I'm going to just pass it over to Sean Toll to finish up the presentation.
Thank you, Jeff. You did an amazing job, man. Awesome. And I want to make sure, like Jeff said, some powerful things. One of the things I want to talk about is that your money, as you put your money through your bank, right, your personal policy, that money always stay there. The principal always stay there and earns interest. And that earning interest, imagine if you had a bank account right now that you're passing your money through, right, that you're just paying your bills with, and you was able to earn 4 or 5%, you probably run to that bank instead of the bank that you're in right now. You go to that bank and run and put your money in there, even though you're passing your money back out, right? Because it earns more interest. Well, this is exactly the same thing. You could have your money grow there, but then leverage that money to go ahead and knock out some bills or even reinvest or get out of debt, whatever. And no matter what you're doing, this is the powerful thing. And we see it as a loan, but that loan is actually, you're making money off the loan. I want to repeat that. I know we actually don't have a full time to go into that, but you actually make money off the loan. So that means your money is growing at a rate of return. And even though you have the loan coming out, your money is still growing faster than whatever loan that you have there. And then you might say, well, do I have to pay that loan back? Well, you can, or you don't have to. And all that's a powerful, but you can, but you don't have to. Let me say that again. You can, but you don't have to. And that's one of the powerful things within this type of policy. So what can you do when you become your own banker? You can start eliminating debt, right? You can start creating capital. I've been showing so many business owners how to start creating capital through their expenses. You have all this money that you're wasting, using or spending every single month, right? But what if you could create that money to now earn interest for you, even though you had to use it? Yeah, and build capital, because so many banks are not, or our regular traditional banking industry is not giving capital to business owners. And so many business owners that we just went through COVID wish they had built a capital or emergency funds, but they were so busy trying to just exist that they didn't have any extra money to try to build that emergency fund. Again, what if you just use the money you was going to use anyway that create interest off of it to build that emergency fund. Also, you could grow that money, use that money tax free for whatever you want to. And then lastly, what if you reinvest that money? Have so many people that use that, take the money out, reinvest it in the market, reinvest it in real estate, reinvest it in whatever they cryptos or whatever they want to, because they feel they're going to get a bigger return. However, even if they lose on that return or lose out on that investment, the principal is still earning interest. It's still safely making money for you. Okay. Like I said, this is one of the ultimate wealth strategies. This is an ultimate wealth strategy that people have been using literally for decades. And this is one of the things that I believe right now, with that, taking that liabilities and making it into an asset with that part, which is new. That's a brand new part of this that these companies have started to be able to utilize in the last couple of years. I'm telling you right now, is a game changer of people how to use that. So with me wrapping up, right? I know, actually, first thing I want to appreciate everyone. It's 9 o'clock. I was right on time. I always try to be right there at that half hour. But I just want you to think, was this valued in this presentation today? I know if you was invited by someone and saw this information that you feel is valuable, I know you might not understand everything, but just think about that principle. Hey, I have something where I could put my money in and earning get 5% or more every single year, no matter what happening around me, that I could take that money again and leverage it. And even though I leverage that money going to still grow for me, and I could still do other things with that. If that sounds like something that makes sense to hear more about, I want to get back with you personally, explain it a little bit in more detail, step by step, show you how it could work for you. Also, if you believe this will help other people, I'm telling you, let other people know about it. I'm telling you, this is something I wish I knew earlier, but I have been, but when I learned it back in 2008, I started using it, and it have helped me. It have helped me put my children through college. It have helped me with building my business. And it helped me. I have done a process like this, but I never had the opportunity to take my expenses and supercharge my policies like that. I wish I did, because I would have a whole lot more money right now. But so I know from personal experience that this does work. But this is the thing. I have helped a lot of people with it, but with this new part of that, man, oh my goodness, this is something that could absolutely is a game changer that could change so many other things, especially when you combined it with some of the other opportunities out there today. And so I want you to, again, to get back with the person who invited you. I want you to say, let them know today, just to get back with them, to say, hey, how, learn a little bit more about it, and get a time to go back on the Zoom. I would love to sit down and talk to each one of you. So with that, we're going to stop the recording of the presentation. David, if you could